Hey, this is Brian Gibbons, and we're talking about what do we do when we need new financing? And this is where we really want you to be creative, and we got to think outside the box a little bit. All right. Now, so we want to talk about new financing. We're talking about financing that does not have anything to do with being structured around the seller's existing financing. In the recording we had before, we talked a lot about, if they have existing financing, what can we do? We talked about subject to and land trust. We talked about wraparound mortgages. We talked about lease options. We talked about agreements for deed. And, we talked about the due on sale clause. We talked about a few of those things. But now we're talking about brand new financing coming in. So when do you need this new financing? Generally, the new financing needs to be broken into, you don't need new financing in wholesaling or flipping because you just need that sale and purchase agreement with the and/or assigns, or you need the option to purchase agreement and then you sell your agreement. So wholesaling you don't. In the seller financing, you don't need new financing. So what only leaves is the rehabbing section where you have to go buy a rundown house. And then if you're buying for all cash on a landlord deal, like a rental, and it could be a multi, it could be a single family home, whatever it is. So let's talk a little bit about rehabbing. So when you're doing rehabbing, you're always going to need new financing to buy it and repair it. You need two big bills. Okay, you got to buy it as is, and then you got to repair it and spend the money on the contractors. So, there are ways to be able to get this new financing. You can first go through a bank, a regular bank like Bank of America or Wells Fargo or Union or whatever. Okay, they don't like to lend more money than you're buying the property for. Okay, they don't like to do that. All right, banks, they tend to look for you to put a lot of money down, like 30% down. And the final blow is you need really great credit and a great job history. So the only thing banks are good for when it comes to rehabbing is getting loans for your buyers. So forget about acquisition with banks. Now, there are government loan programs on rehab. You might be thinking, what about those government loan programs where the government gives you a low interest rate and even loans you money to do the repairs? There are numerous government programs out there for buying and repairing residential houses. There's even special programs for historical homes. But the most popular program people are referring to is the 203K loan. 203K. With this type of loan, you can buy a property and get money for doing repairs at a great interest rate, but the red tape is enormous. I'm going to repeat that. The red tape is enormous. These types of loans also require credit qualification. You also need written estimates from several licensed contractors. And once you get the loan and start doing repairs, getting money out of the escrow account is like pulling teeth. So for these reasons, we're not going to be covering these types of loan programs in great detail, but if you need a link on a 203K, just do a Google search and do Rehab 203K loan. So we don't want you to, jump through hoops or bang your head against a brick wall. We want to talk to a big area about hard money loan. Hard money loan, okay? So one of the best ways to get new financing, you need to do a retail deal where you're selling to an FHA borrower is through a hard money lender or a mortgage broker that specializes in hard money loans. And with these types of loans, the interest rate can range. It's expensive. It's called hard money for a reason. It's 12 to 18%. That might sound high, but usually the payments are interest only, so the payments technically is not high at all. Besides, it's well worth to pay a few extra bucks not to have a deal with the red tape of a bank or a government loan program like a 203K. Some lenders or brokers do require you to have some kind of credit, but many do not. It's all about the equity in the deal. And most part is, not only do these lenders routinely loan out 100% of the purchase price, but most will even lend you the repair money necessary if there's enough equity in the deal. Now, private loans, and I love private loans. Private loans, you get loans through private individuals directly. They are still considered to be hard money loans. The only difference is you don't have to pay a broker's fee. You also get to deal one-on-one with the person who has the money, and if the deal is right, you might even decide to bring the lender on as a money partner in your deal. Now, here's an exciting area. It's called using someone else's IRA money. Another great source of financing is using the funds of an IRA account. This could be either your own account, or you could show other people how they can be your private lender by investing the money in their account. Now, many people who have IRA accounts don't realize they can invest in real estate by self-directing their funds through a self-directed IRA. We're going to talk more about these and other types of financing sources later on. Rentals. When we're dealing with landlord properties, and it could be multis, it could be single families. When buying rental properties, you many times can structure the deal around that seller's existing financing. But if you can't, you obviously need some form of new financing and to be able to buy the property. And even if you do get the seller to work with you short term, you're going to still need new financing later if you plan to keep the property for yourself. That makes sense, right? So if you plan to own a rental property long term as a source of cash flow, you must be able to work your way into having long-term financing. And there are several scenarios which you could do this. Now, let's be really creative. This is an important part of this recording. So if you don't have a pen, you're just listening, make a mental note to listen to this again with a pen and a piece of paper. You ready? Scenario number 1. Long-term seller financing. First scenario is to get the seller to give you some kind of long-term seller financing. This could be either by deeding you the property subject to, remember, or by doing a long-term agreement for deed or a long-term lease option. In this scenario, the entire deal rests on the seller's existing financing and does not require you to get a loan from any outside source, either now or in the future. That's scenario number 1, long-term seller financing. Scenario number 2, long-term seller financing, then refinance. The second scenario is to get the seller to at least work with you short-term and then get a new purchase loan or refinance loan later. This could be done by getting the seller to do a short-term lease option with a term of at least 2 years, or by getting the seller to do a short-term balloon mortgage. With a balloon mortgage, the seller would finance the property short-term, and then the balance of the mortgage would balloon and be due after 2 to 5 years. I always like extensions and balloons. I hate getting stuck and not being able to have financing. In either case, you would get new financing from an outside source, usually at a bank. Scenario number 3, short-term alternative financing, then refinance. The third scenario is to get the deal use private funds or hard money loan, but these loans tend to have short terms of 1 to 2 years, and the interest rates tend to be higher than normal. The key to this strategy is to get into the property, get it fixed up and rented out, and then refinance the high interest rate hard money loan into a lower interest rate bank loan. This is the most popular strategy used by investors when buying rundown properties that they plan to keep as part of their rental portfolio. And there's several reasons why, and here they are. First, it's easier to get a refinance loan from a bank on a rental than to get a purchase loan because the credit criteria is more lenient. This is mainly due to the fact that you have past payment record on the loan that you're refinancing. Also, if you can get a regular purchase loan from a bank, the bank will usually look for how much you put down. To avoid this, it's better to buy a property using private hard money than refinance the property after 6 to 12 months. This is because you can get a hard money loan without putting any money down. It's also easier to borrow extra money for repairs when getting a hard money loan. Later, when you refinance with a regular bank loan, instead of putting money down, you can even get money back at closing by borrowing more than what is owed on your underlying hard money loan. That's right. Not only can you get money back when you initially buy the property using a hard money loan, but you can also get money back when you refinance it with a bank. Here's the last scenario. A owner-occupied purchase loan. So the final scenario is to get a regular purchase loan from a bank, but as we just stated, most banks require you to put money down because you're applying for a non-owner occupied loan. This may require as much as 30% down. It's a lot. Another issue with getting a non-owner occupied purchase loan is that the property will usually have to be in good condition and already rented out. This can be a problem if you're buying a rundown vacant property. The credit qualifications for a purchase loan are also more strict than if you were applying for a refinance loan. Therefore, the second or third scenarios may be best route for you to go if you have limited credit rating. The next recording is going to be exciting. It's going to be talking about how do we figure out which finance strategy do we use, what factors determine which finance strategies do we use. A very important one. So I want to thank you so much for listening. I wish you the very best. Bye for now.